Hey, what's up, folks? Will here, and I think I'm going to do this a lot more in 2020. I'm going to call it the early insight into the pay-per-views. I think I'm going to do it for the pay-per-views every year, every event, I should say, every month. I think it's something that I kind of want to do. Just looking into, I've not looked into the card a whole lot, but I've looked into it a little bit, and it's just talking about the Fight Pass prelims into the main prelims, and then into your kind of talking points, your main card spots here. We are in the middle of a 3 week break, and it's actually been pretty awesome. If I'm being honest with you, just sitting back because it was a long stretch, especially when you're doing two podcasts and you're looking at fights all the time. I did do a little bit watching fights through Cage Warriors and Bellator, and had a few bets going, and I've got a couple of bets going for this card at UFC 245. So I've looked into it a little bit, not a hell of a lot. But this is something I think I'm going to do in 2020. I'm going to call it, like I say, I'm going to call it the early insight, and just really an early look at the pay-per-view, and kind of how I'm feeling now. And then kind of when I get into the official predictions, whenever I get close to that card, then I will see how I kind of changes, what kind of changes I've liked from watching before, going into like a kind of watching a little bit of tape study, and then when I watch a little bit more, if my kind of instincts kind of change in some fights a little bit. So yeah. But if you're new to the channel, like, comment, subscribe, especially at that like button if you can. And let's see if you like this early insight, looking at a pay-per-view maybe a week, 2 weeks in advance. Let me know. I've got some kind of ideas, maybe going for some videos in early 2020. What I'm going to do, I think we're going to have another break after Christmas, around Christmas. So this is something I'm going to do for every pay-per-view. I'm going to call it the early insight, and just kind of briefly go through it over 20, maybe to 30 minutes at a time. So yeah, so like I said, we'll go through the fights, but we'll go through them pretty quickly, from your UFC Fight Pass kind of portion to your prelims and up to your main card. So just kind of looking at the UFC Fight Pass prelims, good fights straight off the bat. That's what I will say. As of right now, it's got 4 fights. I think there's going to be a fight that's probably going to move. Yeah, at Madov and Heinisch. I'd be surprised if it's not in the kind of televised prelim. But like I say, 4 fights on the UFC Fight Pass prelims. You've got a women's fight. You've got the flyweights. You've got featherweights and middleweights in there. So just kind of what I'm seeing off Wikipedia right now, it's Punahele Soriano against Oscar Pihota. Good fight, a tough fight I think for Soriano on his day, because I think Pihota is a very experienced kind of fighter, really good on the ground, but really hasn't showed. I thought he would have showed a little bit more than what he has shown in the UFC anymore. Soriano coming off that Dana White Contender Series, big power. If he'll be looking to land a bomb, and I think that Pihota will be looking to get it to the ground, where he could maybe find out what the ground game of Soriano's kind of all about. So that's a tough fight. I'm looking forward to kind of get into that a little bit more after I get the DC card out the road. I've watched, I think, 3 fights for this card already. The main event's one of them, Holloway's one of them, and the other one is Jeff Neal against Mike Perry. But yeah, like I said, I've no real kind of lean in that fight straight off the bat there. Jess Kai against Viviane Araújo. Actually, at this point right now, I like Araújo quite a lot. She's minus 138 in the UK. That's actually, I think, a decent betting opportunity there, around there. I think in America she's actually a little bit more, but the UK books are a little bit slower over here in reacting to that. So I've kind of been thinking maybe of a bet, but like I say, I've not really went into it, but gut instinct, straight off the bat, I like that fight for Araújo. I've never been the biggest fan of Jess Kai. She doesn't really pass the eye test, in my opinion, when it comes to fighting the UFC. I just don't see her. Like, I can't believe she fought for a UFC title, man. That's crazy. She got starched, right enough, but as of right now, I like Araújo quite handily. This is going to be a good fight. Brandon Moreno against Cara France, and I've seen that Brandon Moreno was actually an underdog. I've bet Kai Cara France in a couple of his fights, picked him in a couple of his fights. Still not overly impressed by him, I'll be honest with you. I think that there is definitely spots that Moreno can execute here. I think on the feet, I think he can not hang with Cara France. I think Cara France is definitely for better on the ground, better on the feet, I should say. But I think Moreno is a kind of all-rounded mixed martial artist. He's very dangerous. He has got some striking, but he's very gritty on the feet. He can take you down as well. I think it's an underdog play as of right now. I think Brandon Moreno's not a bad underdog play, but like I say, these fights are, some of these fights I should say, are before I've really even started looking at the fight altogether. But just looking at betting lines and so on, I'm a little bit surprised to see Moreno as a, I think he's plus 125 underdog. Let me check that. I've lost the page there. Brandon Moreno plus 125. I think that's a decent betting opportunity. I think that line might tighten a little bit. I don't see it being a hell of a lot by fight time. I can still probably see Moreno being an underdog, but I think that's a decent betting opportunity. As of right now, I've probably got Moreno, but like I say, this is all before really looking into the fights, because like I say, I'm really enjoying this break being off the UFC, and I've not even really looked into, apart from 1 or 2 fights for the DC card, the next UFC card in there. So yeah, Chase Hooper against Daniel Teymur. I think this is a good fight for Chase Hooper. Young kid. Came through the Dana White's Contender Series. I think they gave him a development contract. We see him in Fight Pass. I think it was Island Fights, I want to say it was. Daniel Teymur, I've always been a fan of the Teymur brothers coming up through Sweden. European MMA, you find out, I find out about these guys a long time ago. Don't think he's UFC material. Obviously coming off a win, a big win against Sunbin Joe in his hometown of Stockholm, but I think it's a very gettable fight for Chase Hooper. I think it's a good introduction to the UFC, and what's his betting odds as of right now? Chase Hooper minus 115. It's hard to really be confident in the pick for the simple reason he's very inexperienced. He's very young. He's going to make mistakes. He's still developing as a fighter. But Daniel Teymur just hasn't impressed me. But he's got a UFC win beside his name, so that's something that he's got, the big fight experience of being in the UFC 3-4 times now. So that's something that Hooper hasn't got. So I like Chase Hooper as of right now. So yeah, and then that's kind of us moving on to the televised prelims now. We've seen Akhmadov against Heinisch, tough fight. That seems like the type of fight that could really go either way. Heinisch seems to do well against those grapplers. He can take you down, he can scramble really well. You don't really see that much from Akhmadov when he takes you down. He doesn't really kind of hold you down all that much, and he's striking. He's definitely got better since he went to 185. He can stand there, he can throw a little bit more, he can be a little bit more, just a bit more aggressive, because the weight cut wasn't killing him going to 170. He's filled into that division. Heinisch, maybe some of the love for him is maybe drained away after that loss to Derek Brunson, where I think it was actually more on Brunson. I thought actually fought a really good fight back at UFC 241, but lots of people were pretty high on him before that. He was bet as an underdog a few times. I think I got him a couple of times as an underdog. So that's going to be a close fight, I think. I don't think there's going to be a hell of a lot between those guys. Minus 135 Heinisch, plus 115 Akhmadov. Probably as of right now, maybe leaning Heinisch, but not by a hell of a lot, if I'm being honest with you. So that's good. I think that's going to be a very close fight. I think that could have a split decision kind of vibe to it. Just looking at that. Matt Brown against Matt Saunders. I mean, Ben Saunders can't take a shot. Matt Brown can't take a body shot. Matt Brown, I didn't think honestly I'd see him back in the UFC again. I thought that he'd kind of been done the time. Like I always remember just him getting poleaxed with like big body kicks by like Eric Silva, which is a great fight. I always remember that was on my birthday way back in 2014. Beat Diego Sanchez. It's going to be like 2 years since he last fought, so he might have some rust to him, but he's got a decent opponent here in Ben Saunders, who I just don't think is super dangerous in all that many outcomes. He's fairly decent in the clinch. We've seen that he can be handled on the ground. He's a little bit crafty with his guard and so on, but outside of that, I would lean Matt Brown pretty heavily, actually. I don't know what's the betting lines for that fight. Oh, shoot. Minus 360 Matt Brown. Yeah, I wouldn't be playing that. Maybe a knockout prop would be what I'd be looking out at that. But, yeah, Matt Brown comes for you, goes for the chin, comes to take you out. And we've seen that Ben Saunders, he can be controlled if you're decent on the ground. Matt Brown's not going to take him there. He's going to look to come and take the chin off of Ben Saunders there. So, I don't like the betting line. I think minus 360 is just a little bit too high, but I'd probably pick him as of right now. But like I say, it's going to be fun to go back and watch some fights of Matt Brown, because he's got some. I mean, I thought he fought okay against Cowboy. Just got caught in the last part of that fight with the big head kick. Jake Ellenberger, he got caught, like I say, with a body kick, but he'd hurt him before that, and like I say, he just got caught there. But like I say, I probably got him against Ben Saunders there. This is an interesting fight. Ketlen Vieira against Irene Aldana. I've been a little bit slow to the kind of Ketlen Vieira kind of bandwagon, but she's really, really good. But she's coming off big injury. I think she had 2 big surgeries on her knee, which I think it could be pivotal. I mean, she's not fought since March 2018, beat Kat Zingano. That was a close fight. She got taken down in that fight. Ultimately, I think the first 2 rounds really got her through that fight. You've got someone in Aldana who I like watching fight. I think she's really good with her striking. It's very technical, very precise, very accurate. She keeps her distance very well. Her footwork's actually really, really good. She is someone I think can be taken down. I think that's something that Vieira's going to look to do. But is she going to be rusty? Because Aldana's been very what's the word I'm looking for? Very active. She's been very active. She fought in Mexico just back in September. Absolutely beat the backside of Vanessa Melo. Lost a very, very close split to Rocky Pennington, which she could have got the decision in that one. I think it was the right decision going to Pennington in that one. But she's had 3 fights this year. She's had, was it 4, maybe 5 fights in that span that Ketlen Vieira's been out. But Ketlen Vieira was the girl that everybody's saying that she's the next girl at 135 who's going to come up here and she's going to challenge for the title. And I think she's not far off. If she comes back here, wins pretty dominantly, I mean, she's going to be undefeated. She's going to be right in line probably to face Amanda Nunes, if we're being honest here. Maybe give her another fight after that. But yeah, I don't think Irene Aldana's. I think that could be a lot more competitive than what maybe people will make that fight out to be. Betting lines. What's betting lines? Plus 150 Aldana. I reckon it should be maybe around that. Looking at it, maybe Vieira should be a little bit low. Maybe minus 150. Maybe plus 135, plus 140 on Aldana. But like I say, that's what I'm going to be interested to look into, because off the top of my head, I remember Vieira really timing takedowns well against Kat Zingano. So, and I think she is facing someone who's not as good at stopping takedowns in Aldana. So, interesting fight. I kind of maybe leaning a little bit towards Aldana there. Maybe just for the ring rust, the cage rust, the time being away, the 2 big surgeries on her knee. But Ketlen Vieira, I mean, she's undefeated, so she's going to be super confident. But she might have a little bit of trepidation moving back into the UFC after being away for so long. Jeff Neal against Mike Perry. Whoo, banger fight. I'm really looking forward to seeing Jeff Neal here at full capacity. Not working a job anymore. He's 100% on his career now. He's fighting full time in the gym. I think 3 times a week. I remember watching the James Lynch interview. He is non-stop, full-time athlete now. And I think he's got a very, very good fight against Mike Perry here, because we all know Mike Perry's going to bring the fight to Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal is very a strong hitter. He's a banger. He can hit you really, really, really big at any time and knock you out. But Mike Perry's also that type of fighter who's going to come and bring the fight to you and could hurt you at any time. And I'm actually surprised his durability has been, because if you go back to and watch the fights, so way back in UFC 204, even before that, when Mike Perry came into the UFC, I was positive that he was going to get knocked out get viciously knocked out in some spots, because I thought he was too aggressive. He left his chin in the air, and if you watch his regional fights, I mean, he used to get hit with some massive shots. And he got put to sleep a couple of times, or got put down a couple of times. Ultimately could have beat Vicente Luque last time out, beat Cowboy Oliveira, which I think is a good win, beat Paul Felder. So the guy's got some really good wins to his name, but I think this is a really good matchup for Jeff Neal. I think he's number 15 in division, so this is him kind of defending his spot in the UFC welterweight division. And I'm just interested to see him at full capacity. I really am. That's one of the fights I'm really looking forward to see um, how good he looks. I didn't think he looked all that great against Nico Price, but Nico Price is one of those guys who's hard to look good against. So uh, I like Jeff Neal. It's whether he can knock him out, and he just has to be careful because if he gets into a firefight, I think he's definitely the more technical, accurate, powerful striker. But Mike Perry brings just a kind of will to win and never gives up on himself and will take blows to give blows. So yeah, I've got Jeff Neal kind of as of now. Moving on to the main card, the pay-per-view portion of this card, we've got Peter Yan against Uriah Faber. I mean, Uriah pulled it out against Ricky Simone last time. I just don't see it happening against Peter Yan here. I think Peter Yan's a buzzsaw. You guys have heard me kind of wax lyrical about this kid since he came into the UFC. I'm a massive, massive fan. I was before he was in the UFC. I thought he was going to give a lot of fighters in the UFC bantamweight division fits, and he's shown that. Now, he is aggressive. He is open to counters. He is facing maybe the most experienced guy he's ever fought here in Faber, but it's Faber coming back after his second, after his retirement, being inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. Loads of people writing off against Ricky Simone. I wasn't initially writing him off, but I thought that Ricky Simone was just too good at that time. I think he was one of the new breed fighters that was going to really just put a pace on Faber and really just outwork him over that 15 minutes. But dude knocked him out, so fair play to him. And he's on a 2-fight win streak. So, but Peter Yan, to me, I think this is going to be. I think Faber's just going to be in a world of hurt from the get-go. I think he can win this fight kind of anywhere. I think he's faster on the feet. I think he's got wrestling. He can take Faber down, but I think Faber can pop back up. Maybe on the ground is where Faber could maybe give him some problems with his submission game, because he's done a lot of jiu-jitsu in his time away from the sport. He's kind of got a renewed love for the sport with the birth of his daughter, who kind of, I think he said that he wanted to come out and say that he wanted to fight when his daughter was around, and it was kind of that added kind of inspiration to win fights and just fight again in general. So I like Peter Yan, but like I say, he might get a little bit too aggressive and he might catch something here, but I've got Peter Yan in that fight as of right now. I don't think I'll change my pick on that one either. So Marlon Moraes against Jose Aldo. I just think this is bad news all over for Aldo. I don't think he makes the weight. The pictures that I've seen of him, he looks depleted already. He looks like he's having a miserable time. I mean, this dude used to struggle to make 145. He looked terrible at times there, and he's going down 10 pounds. I just think this is career kind of suicide, doing this at this point in his career. He's been talking for the longest time about moving away from the sport and doing different things, and he's not really competitive at 145, and I say that in the way that it kind of showed against Volkanovski. These young guys coming through who fit better in the weight division, they're not killing themselves to make that weight anymore. Max Holloway was another instance of that, where just the new breed fighter is coming through and the blueprint is there to beat someone like Jose Aldo. But saying that, when you write this kid off like I did in the Moicano fight, and he comes out there and starches Moicano. I don't think Moicano fought a good fight, but props to Jose Aldo for getting in there and taking a legit guy out. Marlon Moraes is going to want to prove something here after that loss to Cejudo, where I didn't see that coming. I didn't see that coming from Cejudo. So if you had Cejudo doing that, props to you. I didn't see it. But this is a big opportunity against a big Brazilian legend for Marlon Moraes, who also, he'll have a tough weight cut down to 135, but he's been there somewhere where Aldo is just like, I mean, I just think this weight cut is going to absolutely kill him. If he makes this weight, I will be surprised. I'll come out and say it right now. I don't think he makes the weight, but if he does, I'll put my hand up and say I was wrong, because the pictures that I've seen, just he doesn't look in a good place, and that's going to take away from his durability, his cardio. But the guy's always super dangerous. He is one of the most elite champions we've had in the sport, in the UFC, the WEC. The guy was a buzzsaw when he was coming through, and way back in WEC. But we're going back, what, 9, 10 years now, maybe, WEC 2010, so we're coming on 10 years. His last fight was September 30th, 2010, the WEC. First fight April 30th, 2011 in the UFC. So, yeah, I want to see if he actually fought featherweight before. No, so this is the first fight at featherweight, bantamweight I should say. No, first fight at bantamweight. I don't see this ending well. I see Moraes having the opportunity to probably put Aldo away, if not win a very, very convincing 3-round decision. Amanda Nunes against Germaine de Randamie. I've always been I don't want to say a fan of Germaine de Randamie. I like the way she fights. I like her striking. I really do. I should put that out here and say that these two have fought before, with Amanda Nunes beating Germaine de Randamie way back in 2013. Knocked her out in the first round with some pretty vicious elbows. And back then, if that fight maybe went in later into the second and third, I think de Randamie would have a decent opportunity of coming in there and maybe beating her across the 3 rounds. Now, since then, Amanda Nunes has obviously went on to be the best women's fighter we've ever had, and she's taken out the names that gives her that title as being the greatest female fighter of all time, because she's beat champion after champion. She's beat, I should say this, NXT champion and Shayna Baszler. I shouldn't really say that, considering that that's pro wrestling. I'll probably get some shit for that. So, who else have we got? She beat Valentina twice. She beat Misha. She beat Ronda. Chris Cyborg she ran through. Holly Holm she ran through. Right now she is in her pomp. But I think this could play out to be a close fight. There's going to be a time when Nunes... Is this the time she's going to really maybe have a fight here where she could potentially get taken out, or she could get hurt? I mean, she's got the win over de Randamie, so she's going to be super confident. She's obviously going to be confident with the run that she's on and the names that she's beaten and the way she takes people out. I still think Valentina Shevchenko is her hardest fight, but I mean, she's faced her twice and beat her twice, so yeah, that's an interesting fight. I'm not going to write off Germaine de Randamie. I've not been online all that much recently, but yeah, I think de Randamie could be a live fighter in that one. I really do. I don't know what's the betting lines actually. Let me check. Plus 250 on de Randamie, minus 300 Nunes. That's probably about right, honestly. If that was to creep up even more, for de Randamie, I think she was even like plus 400 at one point. I remember seeing that a couple of weeks back, but. Yeah, I think she's a live fighter. It kind of goes into the middle part here, but you've got to look at how dangerous Amanda Nunes is. I mean, she's great on the ground. Her striking's lethal. She's got massive power. She varies her power with her shots beautifully. Her head movement, she like the way she plants her feet. She can do it all really. She's just turned herself into the greatest fighter of all time. So, props to Amanda Nunes. But like I said, I don't think that fight's as one and done as people are thinking. Now it could turn out to be like that, because Nunes can starch anybody. We've seen that already. She's did it with more or less everybody. So, yeah. I think I've still got Nunes, but I think that de Randamie's a lot more live than people will kind of give her credit for, maybe. So, yeah. Max Holloway, Alexander Volkanovski. Great fight. There's going to be a lot of people on Volkanovski in this spot here. I can see why they would, because the guys he showed that he was ready for the elite when he went through Jose Aldo with kind of relative ease in Brazil. That's a hard place to go down there and do that. I mean, Max went down there and did that as well, but ran through Chad Mendes, knocked him out in the second round, and like he's been pretty invincible since he's come into UFC. He's had that gradual step up from your Hirotas to your Youngs. Elkins, who's always a tough out in that division, but he absolutely dominated that fight easily. Then put Mendes into retirement and then just ran through pretty much Jose Aldo, being pretty dominant over that 15-minute period of the fight. But now he's facing arguably the greatest featherweight champion of all time in Max Blessed Holloway, who I think his time's coming when he's going to take a loss again at this division. I can feel it coming, but I'm like, is it Alexander Volkanovski? Has he got the pressure game to stop the output of someone like Max Holloway, get him down, maybe be dominant there, potentially. But like I say, I've got this feeling that a loss is coming for Max Holloway at 145 again. And I know he lost the DP up at 155, very close fight, but he looked very dominant coming in back again, really after April into July. Beat Frankie Edgar pretty handily, very, very handily actually. Defended his UFC title once again. And you look at the names he's taken out, I mean, you go back, you've got Swanson, DeBronx, Stevens, Lamas, Pettis, Aldo twice, T-City. I mean, this guy's got a list of legit names on his record, and now he's got this guy that's coming through super hungry from a great gym out there in New Zealand, who they are on the up and up. They are one of the best gyms in the world right now, and the confidence is shown. And he's coming in here ready to take Max out and get that strap. I just don't think he's going to do it. I think I've got Max Holloway as of right now. I think that I've actually got a bet on Max Holloway. I've got him parlayed with Peter Yan, plus 102. That's the bet I've got there. I made that last week. I like the odds. I thought, let me see, what did I get Peter Yan at actually? I think I got minus 167 on Max Holloway. Let me see. I'll get this up. Minus 163 I got Max Holloway, and I got minus 400 on Peter Yan. So that's kind of where I'm going with that one. I was actually going to look at Max Holloway and Ali Malay McFarlane on the Bellator card, but I might stay clear of that one. But yeah, I've got Max Holloway to beat Alexander Volkanovski. I just don't think this is the time that he's going to be beat. But like I said, I've got that feeling it's going to happen soon enough. I just don't know who it's going to be. But yeah, I've got Max Holloway in that one there. And then the main event of the night, you've got Kamaru Usman defending his UFC welterweight championship against Colby Covington. If you were to ask me 18 to 24 months ago, I would have been vehemently 100% on Kamaru Usman in this spot, but you can't not sit back and watch Colby Covington's fights and not be impressed with his progression into being a really, really good fighter, because that's what he's become. He's become a very dominant fighter in a very hard weight division. But is he going to be able to be that dominant against the pressure kind of fighter in Kamaru Usman? Could happen. I mean, you look at the names he's rattled off recently: Maya, Dos Anjos, Robbie Lawler. I still think that Tyron Woodley would give him a hard fight. I think it'd be a little bit of a different fight. I know Usman and Woodley was very dominant on Usman's side. I don't think it'd be like that Covington against T Wood, even though it could look like that, because Covington can be that kind of pressure fighter, push against the cage, but he's got far more output than what Usman has. So, and that's something that's really impressed me with Colby Covington, is his progression with his striking, because we all know about his pressure and his wrestling. He can take you down. He's very good at running the pipe. He can get ankle picks. He can do it all. He's one of the best wrestlers that the UFC kind of has to offer, and he's got a durability with that. He's got good pressure. I know he lost to Wally Alves, but you're going back almost 4 years to the day when he lost that fight, and since then he's just been in the street. But I think he said he had an injury going into that fight, but since then he's been dominant. I've picked against him. Dos Anjos, I thought he would give him a fight. He went in there and beat him pretty handily. I thought Maya would give him a decent fight, and Maya, I think he actually fought a smart game plan there, where he made Damian Maya tire himself out, and then 2 and 3 he just really kind of ran through Damian Maya with ease. When you look at Usman, he's more of a pressure in your face, put you against the cage, take you down, and just be very, very hard to get off you. Striking wise, Colby's going to have, I think, more output, a little bit more dangerous with his striking. But Usman's pressure that he showed in that T-Wood fight is something that I think I picked Woodley. I did pick Woodley in that one, but as the fight was coming on, I was like, why did I not pick Usman in this spot? I just felt that this was his time, and Tyron Woodley, like I said, I don't think he fought a great fight. I think if it were a fight again, it would be a lot kind of closer, but I'd still see Usman winning. But I mean, he's beat all the same kind of people that Colby Covington's beat. I mean, he beat Maia, he beat Dos Anjos. He probably beat them more dominantly than what Colby Covington did. So yeah, like I say, if you'd asked me 18, 24 months ago, I would be 110% betting Kamaru Usman in this spot. But due to the kind of progression of Colby Covington, I can't do it, and he's a very very live fighter to beat Kamaru Usman in this one here. I've looked into it. I'm going to look a little bit more into it and see if I can really get a spot where I'm confident. But like I say, if you're confident in the side, especially if you're on the Colby Covington side, I don't know what the odds are for that. Plus 150. That's pretty nice, if I'm being honest with you. Minus 170 in Usman. I still think if you've got confidence in that as well, it's not a bad line. That might come down a little, I don't know. Tough fight though, like I say. I'm maybe leaning Usman as of right now, but it's hard to really write off Colby Covington in that spot. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, guys. I wanted to put something out there because it's been a little bit of a break. I'm really enjoying this break. I really am, I must admit. But yeah, I wanted to get something out there for you guys, and I think I'm going to do this from now on. I quite like looking into pay-per-views, and this one's a stacked one to really get started with. So if you can, like, comment, subscribe, tell me the fight you're looking forward to. If you have any bets already made for the card, let me know. Any spots you think I should be looking into a lot more closely, for maybe good viable underdogs or so on. Because like I say, I've only watched the main event, I've watched the Holloway fight, and I've watched, I can't remember what the other one was, Peter Yan. There might have been another one in there actually, but I'm going to be kind of watching a little bit more of that in the next kind of coming weeks or whatever it may be, because this is December 14th, we're not even in December yet. So yeah, please give me a comment with anything, any questions you want to ask me, anything at all, your most confident picks, your favourite underdog, whatever it may be. Drop it in there, let me know, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Until next time, guys, until probably next Monday, I will get my UFC DC picks. Overeem against Rosenstruik is the main event there, and I've got a bet in that main event already. I've got a pick and a bet down for that one there. So until next week, guys, all the very best, and enjoy this little break we've got from MMA, because I'm enjoying it, I must admit, but I'm looking forward to it coming back. So all the best, and I will catch up with you very, very soon. Peace.